Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Beyond the Curtain. This is the newest edition. Back-to-back weeks we're doing this, and we're doing this in the middle of a move. So you're welcome. This is how dedicated we are to bringing you some new content. Of course, you got the host, Ryan Hill, K-Dog. Want to appreciate, as always, we've got the guest of the week. Not really the week, it's the guest every week. The man of the hour, the man with the power. The man host of Taking the Bump podcast, Mr. James Beatley. Sir, how the hell are you doing?
I'm good. And I'm going to start using that from now on. I am the man host of the Taking the Bump wrestling podcast. I'm good. This is the last Wednesday night that we will podcast, and I'll be in this house. It's kind of weird.
What you can't see is the massive amounts of boxes that are in front of me and to my left. I found the one spot in the house that is not filled with boxes. So it's going to be an interesting setup after this week. What's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it, but hey, we're going to get through it. We're going to improvise, and
yes, sir.
We shall go from there, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Hope you guys will enjoy the ride. Speaking of rides, we went on a ride tonight.
Sure did.
On Turner Network Television, TNT, for those of us here in the States, with AEW Dynamite. This was an interesting show. I think it was actually pretty damn good. Of course, live to me beats out taped. I get that, but I still watched all the shows from whenever they first taped these to last week. They did their best with what they had. I applaud Tony Khan, even if some of the shows weren't the greatest, even if some of the decisions weren't the greatest. Still put on a show every week, and one that I enjoyed thoroughly. Anyways, yeah, tonight, live for the first time in about 5 weeks or so. Held it at Daly's Place, which of course is the building that the Khans own, directly attached to the Jaguar Stadium in Jacksonville, an amphitheater that we've seen before a couple times, not only on Dynamite, but past show they did with the Fight for the Fallen. Now, before we get started and kind of dive on into this, answer this question for me. Yes, there were some wrestlers there as their fans or whatever. Did there not seem like there was a couple people that didn't look like wrestlers that were in the crowd, or am I hallucinating that?
No, I thought the same thing, especially during
Street fight, right?
The street fight. There was that old dude and then like 4 kids standing like near the restroom area or something. And I don't know if it was like behind the scene talent we don't know in their family, or they were just like finding random strangers off the street and be like, hey, put on this mask, we're going to check your temperature and you might be on TV tonight. I don't know. But if they are offering to have fans on their show, Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes, just know that both of us are free every Wednesday. If you can get us down to Tampa or Jacksonville, Florida, we'll come.
And fiance, we'll all go. We'll enjoy it.
We'll all go. We'll enjoy. Even if we have to sit in the nosebleeds, we'll still enjoy it.
Make it happen, sir. Make it happen. Boy, I tell you what, I miss seeing the opening intro of the show. And no matter if it's 20 seconds, 15 seconds, I miss seeing that, and I missed seeing Pyro. Pyro was back tonight. It was loud. It was bright. It was beautiful. I loved it. Yeah, I know. There are going to be those marks out there who say, what a mark. He likes the intro. He likes the pyro. Really, it's not about that. I am a person that I love it from all aspects. I'm talking about the scene of the arena. How does the camera angles look inside the arena? What do the quarters look like? What kind of angles we doing? What kind of pyro we got? What does the stage look like? What does the feel of the show? What does the atmosphere look like? I am all about that. I am a full package person when it comes to wrestling, not just the in-ring product, not just the vignettes, the promos, the interviews, the commentary, the costumes, the wrestlers, the fans, the barricade. I'm all in one. I love the look of it. That's what I think has drawn me to wrestling ever since I was a little kid, and why I would like to be in the business one day, not as a wrestler, maybe as a manager, but I would love to be the behind the scenes, a road agent, a PR person, a marketer. Put me in behind the scenes in a role of wrestling, I'll talk about it all day. But anyways,
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
No, I did too. I think that was kind of the one thing. As much as I enjoyed the last couple episodes, the Jake the Snake promos, and those promos were great. It just, for once in the past couple weeks, it felt like it was again a live show, and that when the pyro hit, I don't care who you are, any sort of pyro will get you excited for whatever the fuck you're about to watch.
I agree with
And
that.
they gave us a lot of pyro to start the show.
They made
Um,
up for the past 5, 6
yeah,
weeks, whatever it was.
they saved that entire budget that they didn't have to use, and they put it all on tonight's show. Um,
Probably sent an ordinance to the city of Jacksonville that we're about to blow up a lot of shit, so y'all beware.
but no, I'm the same way. Just real quick, as much as it doesn't necessarily make a difference in the short run, I am an all-in-one package. Everything has to be perfect, I guess you can say, from the angles. That's why I like New Japan so much, because their camera angles are fucking awesome. So angles of cameras, the pyro, the music, the entrance, the promo, and then the in-ring work. It all has to kind of mesh in order for me to be interested in the product. And well, they certainly did that tonight. So
You ain't kidding. All right, let's go ahead and dive on into this. Right off the bat, we got a match: Cody versus Joey Janela. I ain't gonna lie to you, I really wasn't looking forward to this match just because I thought their styles were not exactly compatible with each other, I guess if you want to call it. It was a pretty decent match. It was better than my expectations for sure. Kind of had it all over the place, and which was fine. But it was definitely a pretty solid match, especially to open up the show for sure. Get a Crossroads. It was a kind of funky ending to the match, which the past 3 or 4 weeks we've seen these type of finishes in Cody matches. So it's almost kind of come to expect it, and it's weird. But
right.
the win was the Golden Boy. Cody Rhodes gets a victory there and continues his momentum towards Double or Nothing, where he will be wrestling Archer for the TNT Championship in the finals of that tournament. But as compared to this match, what did you think about it?
Yeah, so I've been an avid supporter of Janela for ever since his company fucking started. I think I bought his shirt before I bought anybody else's shirt. And I've told everybody, like, Janela can wrestle. Like, he's just not like, I'm going to beat you in the face with a White Claw bottle and some barbed wire. Like, he can actually put on a decent match. And that's what he did tonight. I thought he looked pretty good. Against Cody. Their styles do kind of clash a little bit, but I thought for what it was a very good open air match. I think I would have had it as a better match had they not had that kind of screwy finish. Where, and I don't necessarily, it was definitely better than the Darby finish. 100 times better than the Darby finish. But just the fact that Janela got like 3 shots on him, and then out of nowhere Cody kind of just hits a Crossroads and then wins the match. Not necessarily the way that I would have booked it, or it wasn't a finish that sat well with me. I get the point of having Cody win to build his momentum against Archer and whatnot for the TNT title at Double or Nothing, which, good Lord, is only 2 weeks away. But so I get the momentum build there. I don't know. And I'm okay with him using the Crossroads. Finally, somebody didn't kick out of the damn move. But just the way that they used the move kind of didn't sit well with me. Maybe it was because I was pulling for Joey to win the match. I don't know. But overall, it was a solid opening match. And you love Sean Spears in the fan area with his little air horn, and apparently if you had the non-American footage on Fight TV, he was blasting that air horn all throughout every commercial break. So I'm sure y'all enjoyed that. Um, but yeah, it was a solid opening match, and so wonder what happens next week leading into Double or Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think that we just had Revolution, everything was kind of sort of normal, and then shit at the fan. And it's going to be a pay-per-view without fans. It's going to be interesting, kind of like WrestleMania was. So interested to see, how AEW does with that. They kind of have a WWE kind of set the bar with the WrestleMania thing, how they did it without the fans, which I thought they did a really good job with. So it's going to be interesting to see how AEW kind of follows with that. Not that you can really compare WrestleMania to a Double or Nothing. I get that, but as far as the scene without fans and the production of it, it's going to be interesting to see. And obviously, WrestleMania was taped. Double or Nothing, I believe, will be live. Not 110% sure about that, but I believe it will. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in a couple weeks when that happens. And they're starting to get a card together for it, so really ramping up towards that. Man, I'll tell you, in the span of a week, we're going to get NASCAR back. We're going to get Double or Nothing. Baseball is going to be starting to come back, I believe, in June, even if it's spring training. So this summer's about to heat up, and I don't mean in a weather way, but I mean in sports ways. It's about to be interesting.
Yeah,
Go ahead, real quick.
I was going to say, I think this Friday on ESPN you can watch some Japanese or Korean baseball. They're broadcasting Korean Baseball League until MLB can start playing. So if you want to watch some Japanese or Korean baseball, go ahead and tune on to ESPN.
Hey, there you go. That's better than nothing.
But yeah, we're booking them right along this summer. Hopefully everything gets back to normal pretty soon. So
I hope so. After we get the Cody match, we get to a vignette on the women's division, kind of bringing us up to speed and kind of what's been going on. I like how they kind of detailed how we went from, the crowds and everything was kind of normal to where we're at now with the quarantining and the social distancing. And obviously we're having to be dealt with the cards we're having. The women's division has not been as much of a focal point, except five wrestlers: Statlander, Penelope Ford, Sheeta, and Britt Baker. Of course, you got Nyla as a champion, even though she hasn't been on television in a while. She's still a champion. She's always gonna be the focal point because, of course, she's a champion. So, thought they did a pretty good job. I love AEW's promos. The guy that does the promo voice, just the package they get, I think it's a really good job. I think they do a really, really good job with that. And it kind of ends with Nyla Rose as champion, and that leads into her match with Kenzie Page, who apparently is 18 years old, who apparently just had her first and probably last match on AEW because Nyla Rose killed her. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk because I don't know what else I'm going to say before I get kicked off. So go
ahead. Yeah, so Kenzie Page. I think AEW does a really good job of bringing in these like independent, like kind of local, not really well-known women, especially. I hadn't heard anything about Kenzie Page until tonight. But 18 years old, trained by Glenn Jacobs, aka Mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, aka WWE's Kane, and somebody else, Tommy Pritchard, something like that. So she's a local from the Crockett territory area, which I guess is where AEW was focused because they're getting everybody from North Carolina and Tennessee. But it was, man, I don't know. I get it. Nyla Rose hasn't been on TV for a while, so you got to build her back up. And I think we'll get to probably later in the card or on the show. They put out next week's Dynamite card. I think the women's match that happens next week is going to be actually pretty good. And it probably unofficially will be like the number one contendership match for Double or Nothing. And I think I get what they're doing with Nyla. Just get her a quick match to get people accustomed to seeing her on TV again. Her promo with Shivani was decent. I think that's probably one thing she can work on is her mic ability, maybe. But overall, she's a dominating character, and that's literally what she did to Kinsey Page. I don't know if she walked out alive, honestly, out of that ring. So yeah, I mean, typical squash match, but it's one that you can understand them doing. It wasn't like, oh, Braun Strowman got his 8th squash match in a row. It's like, oh, she's coming back to TV for the first time in forever. Let's show why she's the champion. And it fit the spot. They didn't have to really sell that match much. And I think with the interaction with like Britt and Sheeta and Statlander from like the camera perspective, the outside of the ring perspective, kind of told a better story than the in-ring work. But at the same time showing why Nyla Rose is champion. So I think they really kind of collapsed all of what's gone on the last couple of weeks when Nyla's been home, all in one 10-minute segment, and now everybody's caught back up, and now they can start progressing again where they were before this all happened. So I think doing that, I think it was a pretty successful segment, I would say.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing about the women's division is we've said it from the very beginning that it's going to be the focal point of AEW because on paper, while it looks like it's a good division, it just hasn't gotten the momentum that it should because they haven't had any decent storylines. It just hasn't been flowing very well. And every time they kind of get a bearing on it, something happens or something weird happens. So it's kind of out of their control, but at least this pandemic, I would agree with that. I guess trying to open their eyes to new characters beforehand to try to get them, out there to the world to see type of thing. I get, but hopefully third time's a charm and we can finally get that women's division under control here. Moving on down the card, we get a promo by MJF. Is there anything else you can really say about MJF being who he is? I mean, this is a modern day Roddy Piper mixed with Flair with Kurt Hennig, in my opinion. This guy has got a trifecta of just, classical stuff. And I mean, the guy who watches old school stuff like Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers type stuff, all these, great heels back in the day that he molds himself after and just puts on a great, great show. The green screen was a little weird with the background in New York City, but at the same time, bypass that because you're trying to listen to the guy and listen to what he's saying. And he's right. He's only 24. He's my age. Look where he's at. Look where I'm at. So I mean, there you go. He is definitely going to be the main guy in AEW for years, as long as this company stays the way it is. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. But he is going to be the cornerstone of AEW in professional wrestling, in my opinion, because there is nobody that can top this guy as far as heel work goes in this day and age right now. He returns to the ring next week. I don't know who he's going to face. I thought it was going to be Marco Stunt, but he's going to be with...
believe they said...
Oh, no, that's Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, no, and I'm thinking of something else. Who knows? They'll probably put him in a...
Probably squash match, but yeah. I mean...
But again, you put him back in the ring. He hasn't been in action for a while, so...
And I will continue to say this until my final breath. I said this at the beginning of the year. I think I had a prediction where if I could build a stable, who would I build? Mm-hmm. And I had MJF with Wardlow. I had Shawn Spears. Mm-hmm. I had Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. And I had Britt Baker. Can we just get MJF and Shawn Spears as a tag team already? I mean, who do I need to call? Who do we need to petition this to make them just an on-screen tag team? Let them win a title. These guys would be money. I think they really would. Before we get to the next match with the champ, thoughts on the whole MJF thing and all that good stuff?
No, MJF, he is one of the best, and if not the best, promo guys in AEW. and he's 24, so he still has years of experience, years of time that he's going to be able to do this work. And the fact that he is able to kind of hit that old school mark, that niche there that I think is needed because and especially in a day where everything is so athletic and spot fest, you have to balance that out with people like MJF and um, formerly known as the Revival. They balance that out too for any tag team that division that they join. Um, so I think it's great that somebody of his generation is focused on bringing old school, no flips, just fist style wrestling where the the heel work is personal. It's not like super like scripted, like it seems like it came out of a Hollywood movie. Like MJF, you could actually kind of see him saying the stuff that he says in front of that person, like in real life. So I think it's great that he's able to put that on. This promo in particular, I'm just excited. I can't wait to see what happens with this. I agree with you though. Spears and MJF need to be a tag team. They got to. They come on now, guys. We found the perfect tag team partner for Sean Spears. Put him in the damn ring against Omega and Page whenever Adam Page comes back, and let him take the titles off of them. Let's do it right now. Let's book it for July. Let's just go ahead. July, sometime in July, have that tag team win the belts from Hangman Page and Kenny Omega.
I like it. And if it happens in July, I'll give you a 6-pack. I don't know. I'll find something. I'll find something. Get to our next match. Frankie Kazarian of SCU versus Jon Moxley, the AEW World Champion, in a non-title match. As far as wrestling goes, this by far was the match of the night. This to me was a hell of a match. This is probably one of my top 3 favorite Dynamite matches so far. Yeah. I had heard rumors that Moxley was going to be bringing a little bit of his MMA stuff into wrestling. He kind of did that quite a bit tonight. Their styles between him and Kazarian definitely matched up pretty well. Kazarian was pretty good, man. He was all tanned up, and he had some hair on his head that wasn't there before. But it was a really interesting match. I mean, they had a lot of mat wrestling. They had some quick moments. They had some stuff on the outside. They had the chops and the fists and the forearms and the kicks. I mean, this match had all sorts of stuff, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. It shows how good Kazarian was as a singles man. I remember watching this guy as Kaz in TNA, and he was doing his crazy stuff with the Ultimate X matches and all that stuff. And but it's good to see when he went to the tag team scene with SCU. Basically, he was known as a tag team guy, tag team specialist, and now AEW, said, you know what, go out there with the world champ, show us what you can do, and kind of showcased how good he is as a singles wrestler. He can definitely hold his own and carry his own. I would actually be very interested to see SCU as more of a singles competitors at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they could easily be a trio and if AEW implements the trio as a tag team championship, they could easily compete for that. Tag team titles, they can easily compete for that. But it's also good to see what they can showcase on their own. With Scorpio Sky, we've already seen what he can do. Chris Daniels is a veteran. We already know what he can do. He's sort of to the tail end of his career, so he's not going to be doing as much with the in-ring stuff. And then Kaz still going strong as well. But the world champ showing he can have good matches with some guys with Hager a couple weeks ago, with Kazarian tonight. Paradigm Shift gets Moxley to win. I love how he had teased it, but he hadn't done the Paradigm Shift until the very end. Only took once in the win. Once and the win. He tried to do a couple other things, submission holds, whatever the case may be. Kaz kicked out of it. And Paradigm Shift, 1, 2, 3, simple, easy finish. Protects that finisher, shows the finisher is effective. I like it. Before I get your take on that, post-match beatdown.
Sure.
Dark Order. I was not expecting that. The whole time I'm thinking, who's gonna fight Moxley for the world title at Double or Nothing? Is it gonna be Jericho's rematch? Is it gonna be Hager getting it again? Is it somebody from the Inner Circle? Like, are they done with him? What's going on with that? And then got our answer with the Dark Order coming out, and I kind of saw that coming with Brody Lee coming out in his suit and tie and challenged Mox for the world title. Took the belt with him. And JR made that a point in the next segment that he took the belt and took it with him. It's an old school type of thing where you take possession of the belt and you're showing that, hey, I stole your property, bro. What are you going to do about it? And we're going to get that match at Double or Nothing. That's going to be our main event. Brody Lee versus Jon Moxley for the world title. So it's going to be interesting how they now hype this up for a couple weeks because, Moxley's just rebel crazy. And even Brody Lee mentioned it. What are you, a movie star? Are you MMA fighter, pro wrestler, rebel? What are you? And it's going to be interesting how they use all this into a storyline building it for Double or Nothing.
Right. Oh, this segment, nonstop action. I actually kind of called this as match of the night before the match started. Just because, really, Moxley is one of the best in-ring workers, I think, in all of professional wrestling. He's able to kind of mesh with any style of work, especially someone like Kazarian, which I was surprised to hear that this was his first singles match in AEW. So, cool to see Kazarian do his thing, and I guess the barbershops in California were like under lock and key because that dude grew a lot of hair in the month or so that he's been in California. But no, Kazarian looked good. It's weird though that the Dark Order kind of is continuing their little feud with SCU. So again, they're kind of picking right up where they left off with Revolution. So I wonder where that leads, and especially with Brody going for the belt. I don't know what happens there. In my opinion, you can't have Brody lose because it makes him kind of look weak in an aspect. Like, oh well, he not that Moxley's like not a favorable opponent against him. Like you could easily see where Moxley can get a win, but it's kind of early for Brody to get a belt, in my opinion. He's only had like 5 matches, I think, in AEW, so it's kind of one of those things. Like I said last week with Cody and Archer, that I wish you would build until like All Out or another pay-per-view down the road. And it feels like for both title matches, they're kind of rushing the top heel guys. In both
just to mention is how crazy the two of the 3 newcomers, including Hardy. So obviously he's not with the world title right now, but interesting how 2 of the 3 are, made their debut a month and a few weeks ago, and now they are in title matches at the next pay-per-view, which is what it is, but it's interesting.
Right. Feels kind of Eric Bischoff-ish. Which, and I understand, like, hey, just go ahead and push them to the moon, give them their push, and I know if either of them get the belt or both of them, however it works, that they'll be great champions. I just feel like it's kind of early to tell this story, because what happens? Brody wins the belt and he has like a very long reign, or what happens there? So it's just, I feel like this is something that you can build a little bit on a little bit later, make it a little bit of a longer build for Brody's descent into a championship picture. The one thing that I would mention is Brody Lee's a good talker on the mic. Like, you didn't see that side of him when he was in WWE. Now the reason is debated on why he didn't talk a lot. If you listen to Jericho's podcast that I think he released yesterday with the Revival, now the Revolt, I think Jericho said something like when Brody Lee talked to him, the reason he didn't talk was because Vince wanted him to talk with a Southern accent. But he's from New York, so he doesn't have a Southern accent. So, you know, but he's a good talker, and he can talk his way through a promo. And so I was really shocked at that, probably because I hadn't seen him in his indie days before WWE. So, um, yeah, but the match is going to be good. I know it is. I know it's going to be good at Double or Nothing. I just wish they would build this a little bit longer, put a little bit more at stake for it, not just I'm calling out your plea to have somebody fight you, and my minions are gonna beat the fuck out of you, and you're gonna fight me. So I don't know. It feels a little rushed, but given what happens, I don't know what the plans were for the original card. And I doubt nobody would know, given the situation that's gone on. Um, so I'm sure it'll be a good match, but I don't know. This is just something I feel could have been teased or built on a little bit more than what they're giving us in 2 weeks or whatnot.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll be interesting to see how they take this this feud and the storyline, what direction they want to go, and how they build it up for Double or Nothing, and see if we can get back to whatever the main story were going to be. Maybe we get those at All Out. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. Speaking of one of the newcomers who will be competing for a championship at Double or Nothing, that leads us into the next segment of the show. QT Marshall, the Nightmare Collective, I believe it's called, right? Versus the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. Boy, QT took some crazy bumps in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Archer, of course, looked dominant as always. He's going to remain undefeated until they get to that Double or Nothing match with him and Cody for the TNT, the inaugural TNT Championship. Yeah, pretty convincing win for Archer over QT. He's kind of going through the Nightmare Collective here. He went through Dustin. He went through QT tonight. I don't know, really who else was in that. I don't know. Unless DDP's going to come out of retirement. He beat them up. I don't know. Saw Jake the Snake. Of course, he came out after Archer did. Jake is still in that older phase. It was good to see JR back on commentary. Yes, we didn't get to hear Le Champion on commentary this week, but it's good to hear the three-man trio, the regular trio back with Excalibur, Shivani, and Ross. It's good to see him back. Good to see JR back. Good to hear from all three of them again. And they didn't really miss a beat. They had a pretty good show tonight, I thought. And saw Jake tonight, and he had on his little mask that he came out with that, hey, AEW's doing their due diligence. They're doing their part. And I'm glad he kind of took it off for a second because I was like, all right, that's a little interesting. And then I was like, put the mask back on, Jake. You need some fixing on your teeth there, my friend. Britt can help you with that. I don't think the people are going to remember the match. I think they're going to remember with a post-match. We got an old friend of Jake's that made his AEW debut, the Snake. I don't know if he's calling it Damien the 4th, the 5th, the 8th, the 10th. I don't know if it's even named Damien. It's a snake. I know that much. It's a boa constrictor, it looked like. This had me tense the whole time this happened. So he brings the snake in. Brandy, well, first of all, Britt had hit QT with her heel, her shoe. Brandy took the shoe and threw it 18 rows up. She had a pretty decent arm.
The next Jaguars quarterback.
Yeah, right. Vishnu, you're not staying there for long, my friend. And then, so at the end of the match, Britt comes out. They fight. She does a DDT to Brandy. Throws Brandy in the ring and leads her to Archer. And I'm like, oh, what's going to happen here? Cody's going to make the save. Here we go. Cody said, fuck him. Fuck the wife. I don't care about her. Nah, not a fan of snakes. I ain't dealing with that shit. You on your own. Jake brings out this snake. He throws it on top of her like he usually did. And then proceeds to give Brandy another snake.
Yeah.
And the quickest dry hump I've ever seen in my life, but it happened. And then I could have sworn that snake took one or two swipes at Brandy. I don't know if it actually made contact, but that snake did not look very friendly. It didn't look like it really wanted to be thrown around like Jake was throwing him around often. And yeah, that was an interesting little segment there. Like, so with the whole snake thing, kind of set aside a little bit. Obviously, Cody Archer having a double or nothing. So is Britt and Brandy going to be feuding? And if that's the case, you can automatically rule her out of the Fatal 4-Way that's happening next week.
Right.
I honestly didn't think she's going to win anyways. A heel versus heel. Sometimes that doesn't
Yeah.
match up well. But I guess now that's going to be a feud that probably could lead to a match of double or nothing, which would be great if they had that instead of the pre-show, which I think Brandy should be on a pre-show because she's still really green. But it would be nice to see another women's match on the card.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Shoot, I kind of had the same thought when that Brandy thing happened. But for the match beforehand, yeah, nobody's gonna remember that match. They're just gonna be like, "Who won that match?" Oh, QT Marshall got his ass kicked by Lance Archer. Yeah, so that's Snake. Um, I don't know if it bit Brandy or not. It kind of like dug inside of her a little bit and like sexually harassed her a little bit. Um, but Jake, good lord, Jake just like. And then at one point, like when he teased that he was gonna throw it into the crowd, like he tripped over the fucking snake's tail.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who caught that.
So that's I don't know. Like if I was Jake, as soon as I got to wherever that snake was being kept, I would have been like, all right, bye. I'll see you in 3 months.
Bring that snake back on television. Another one.
But if Brandy did get a bit, she remained super calm.
She took that like a champ, no matter what. I do give her credit on that.
Yeah,
That was pretty good on her.
If that was me, I would have been like shitting. Like you would have seen shit. Like I would have CM punked my pants.
I would have made a Sid Vicious in that thing. I would have dropped a pipe bomb in there, and that snake would have smelled it and rolled in it, and
yeah, it would have been. I don't do snakes, so
that thing creeped me out.
Kudos to Brandy. I know Cody said a couple of days ago that there were going to be some surprises on AEW, so I guess that might have been the surprise he was talking about. And I kind of like the point that they were bringing up in commentary that the locker room of where the superstars was like a good distance away from Daly's place. That's why Cody didn't show up. I think that was kind of some good background story, and with Archer's interview next week, you can kind of assume that Cody's going to interrupt or something. We'll see with that next week. But that I don't know. Brandy's an odd character because it's like she has a anti, like not really a face promo to start the match.
Yeah, that's one thing that I forgot to mention was the promo, and that was something I was going to mention at the end. It was an interesting promo, and it was a decent promo. She did pretty well. The ending could have been a little bit better, I thought. Besides dirty old mouth, I thought she could have done a little bit better job with convincing us how much she hated, and for Jake not to talk about her. But yeah, she is an interesting character.
And so it's like, is she a heel? Is she a face? Like she's a face sometimes, and then they had the Nightmare Collective or whatever the hell it was called that failed miserably, and then she became like Cody's goody girlfriend, wife again, and then now she's kind of like bad guy protector. I wear the pants in the family. Brandy Rhodes. Well, Cody's like a good guy, John Cena, face of the company type of character. And so I don't know, because she has that attitude and that aspect with Archer and Jake, but she's gonna get her ass kicked by another like an actual heel. Like I don't know, it's just kind of I don't know, kind of don't get that comparison there. I kind of get that back-to-back weeks Britt used the shoe against somebody in that circle. So I guess that makes a little bit of sense. But was I the only one that noticed that Britt struggled very hard to get Brandy in that ring?
Yeah, I wasn't going to really mention that. I don't really know who to blame on that. I mean, like I said, Brandy's still kind of green, so I feel like maybe that's a little bit hard to blame on her a little bit, but I
don't know who groped Brandy the hardest. The snake, Jake, or fucking Brit because they were all up in there.
She got poked, prodded, and everything in between tonight, man. I'm telling you. Cody's gonna have to make sure she gets a massage tonight or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we get to our main event. Boy, oh boy, was this a main event.
Oh, yes.
Les Six Gods, members of the Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho, Les Champions, versus one half of the tag team champions, Kenny Omega, and making his AEW in-ring debut, Broken Matt Hardy. Jerry made the comment on commentary that we haven't seen the Bucks because of the COVID-19 situation, and they have a newborn, and that Hangman had the same thing, which makes me wonder if Hangman has a baby or a newborn, or if he had a coronavirus or what. I don't know. Either way, hope they return soon, especially Hangman. Missed you, bro.
Right.
My God, this match had it all. I mean, first of all, Jericho Pineapple Pete, which apparently we're getting next week, is going to be Jericho is going to make something out of that, and he made something out of that again tonight.
Yeah.
Match had the back and forth stuff for a little bit, and then Jericho and Hardy went to the back, which we never got to see because Jericho came back. And Matt Hardy had a costume change, and he went back to old Matt Hardy. And, did the whole V1 stuff and splashed Sammy through the table. Jake Hager got involved. And then we went to basically the concourse of Daly's Place, which leads into TIAA Bank Field, which is a Jaguar stadium because they're connected. And all hell broke loose and led to some of the most entertaining 10 to 15 minutes of television I have seen in a long time. They used everything. They used the chairs. They used the trash cans. They used the ice box where they keep the ice. And Hardy got thrown into there, left him for a while. They used the barricades. They used the steel door frames. They used the concrete pillars. They used chairs. They used trash cans. They used everything. This match had it all. Damascus made his return. Hardy did yet another costume change in the ice box, I think, which was fantastic. Gets in the golf cart. This man had the worst luck trying to get this golf cart going, but he did. And led to a good 5-minute segment that I will never forget. I don't know what he's going to call this thing. I know he called it the lawnmower, the mower of lawns.
The cart of golf.
The cart of golf. The cart used for golfing. I don't know what he's going to use, but it's going to be fantastic. It should be on a shirt. Him and Kenny with Kenny's face as they were running down.
Sammy,
should be on a t-shirt. And I will buy that. Ran over Jericho. And I did not, when they showed what it looked like a football field, I'm like, damn, that's a pretty good mock-up of what a football field looks like. Holy shit, that's a Jaguars stadium. Damn, I didn't realize that you can see right into the stadium. They ran over Jericho. They turned around, and Sammy Guevara, had his head bounce off the post of the corner of
he
the
died.
damn thing.
Yeah, he died.
That was insane. Somehow or another, we get into where the Santana and Ortiz gonna get involved. They put Damascus, Matt Hardy through the table. They powerbomb Kenny but on top of the golf cart roof. And then Jericho did the Judas Effect for the 1, 2, 3. I didn't realize it was a street fight counts as a false count anywhere. I guess I don't know.
Right.
Inner Circle wins, and then the very end of the show we get the background of that huge ass scoreboard that Jaguars have at their stadium with the Inner Circle painting, which was awesome. That was a great way to end that show. That was an entertaining, fantastic, fun match. I haven't had that much fun in a match in a while. And I couldn't help but notice that Dick's Wings was a sponsor of the Jaguars. They had a little banner underneath the scoreboard, so I would like to see this match was brought to you by Dick's Wings or something like that. That was very nice.
Dick's Wings.
Yeah, what a match. Guevara and Jericho get the win. Just a fun way to end the show, I thought. Really, really clever and fun way to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that match was so. Everybody's probably going to rate that as their favorite match of the night. And by far, I would say it was my favorite match of the night. The best wrestling match of the night was Kaz and Mox. But this match, it had everything you wanted. So Jericho comes out and did Pineapple Pete make the first hit? I think that's what it was. Pineapple Pete took a swipe at Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho almost took his head off with the baseball bat.
Yeah, and
But it
then
was aluminum because he hit it on the steel barricade. I'm like, that didn't sound like wood or fake. That was a real bat.
and so I think we went to like commercial break right after that before the start of the match, and Giovanni was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're having Pineapple Pete fight Chris Jericho next week, or Ross, or one of the three members that were there, which is going to be entertaining as hell next week." So, but and then we actually get into the match, and there were a couple things that I would have loved to see make an appearance. One, I like the finish. I like having the inner circle kind of come in, but they missed on a great opportunity for one of the members of the inner circle that were not in the match to dress up as the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot and beat the fuck out of Matt Hardy or
Could you imagine the interaction of Matt Hardy and that mascot? Whomever it may have been would have been fantastic. And he would just, every town that they go to now, they'd have to book the mascot or get the mascot uniform, and Matt Hardy just had an epic encounter with the mascot. That would have been actually a great idea.
Yeah, they would be pretty good. They just got to book us to be writers for this fucking stuff, you know?
And guys, give me a couple things and we'll make it gold.
Yeah. And then the second thing is we should have seen a Vanguard 1 appearance somewhere in the show. That would have been cool to see too. Maybe like him running to Jericho after Jericho got hit by that golf cart, which that golf cart segment was fantastic. One, because the Jericho thing, you could kind of tell he didn't make a full hit. So you were like, okay, well, he's taken enough bumps before he'll be able to get up from that. The Sammy Guevara one, though, I don't know if Sammy like forced himself into the golf cart or like he just died because his head bounced off that and then bounced off the concrete. Like, that dude, concussion protocol, you out of action for a couple weeks.
Yeah, Sammy G better be Sammy C for concussion.
But no, overall, I thought, one, I like the fact that they're keeping this thing that they were supposed to do with blood and guts a thing. Like, they're not canceling the idea yet. I like the fact that they're still pushing Matt Hardy as part of the team, given the fact that we haven't seen the Young Bucks yet, and given the fact that, who knows, Nick Jackson has fought his brother since then. So I think that would be kind of a cool way you can still build Nick Jackson back up to he's 100% rehabilitated from getting his head chopped off by that storage door. So I think it's great that they're keeping that story on, because I feel like in July or sometime once they can get a crowd to actually like show up and not be just 25% capacity like they are allowing them to do in Florida if they want to. But once they can actually get like a full crowd, then they'll do blood and guts again. And I feel like that's still going to be their thing. And so I like that they just didn't chop the idea, because, you know, if it was a Vince McMahon idea, they'd have been long gone in the trash can by now. But no, I like that they're keeping the storyline going. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see where this heads next. Hopefully we get Adam Page and the Young Bucks in the next couple of weeks, because I hope Page and Omega can go for Double or Nothing and fight somebody for the tag team titles. I actually think the number one seed, like the number one ranking, was the Dark Order.
Really, I would have thought Best Friends would have been. I don't know. I haven't seen the rankings in 2 weeks.
No,
I don't remember.
They're number 2. I think the Dark Order are number 1. I posted something about it on one of my social media platforms, because for like the past 2 weeks they posted it. Trent has a question mark at the bottom of his name, or at the end of his name, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I think the Dark Order is the number 1 seed, which is kind of weird because they haven't been seen fighting. Like Stu Grayson and Evil Uno haven't been fighting, so I guess they won't necessarily have a tag team title match at Double or Nothing if Adam Page can't wrestle. I don't know. I'm always a guy that in every situation possible, you need to defend your title at the pay-per-view. But given the fact that it's a pandemic, like I can give you a pass on this pay-per-view. But nonetheless, this show for me, since it's being the first show live in such a long time, it helps build towards your pay-per-view, and it sets up a couple matches for the pay-per-view, which I think is all it needed to do, given the fact that we are 2 weeks from Sunday away from, or Saturday, I think 2 weeks from Saturday, away from Double or Nothing. And they have 3 or 4 matches on the card already. So I think they're a good way. And then I think next week they're going to talk about but it's probably going to be the buy-in match, the Battle Royal
Casino
Battle
Battle
Royal.
Royal.
Yeah. So it's cool that they're bringing that back as well. I like that. Winner gets a title shot, and so who knows who gets that? It could be a chance to have somebody, maybe like a Cody Rhodes, win the Battle Royal. And see what happens there. I don't know, because I have a feeling that no, Cody's going to fight on the main card, so that wouldn't make sense. But
yeah, that would have been interesting.
But yeah, who knows? You can see somebody that really hasn't been used much, maybe someone like Darby, or somebody like that win that Battle Royal. I like the fact that they've got a good portion of their card kind of laid out for us already, because I'm kind of old school in the fact that I think everybody should know what matches they should expect on the pay-per-view if you're expecting them to buy the pay-per-view. So good start. They got 2 weeks to build towards this pay-per-view, and it's going to be weird. But I think they got 1 for WrestleMania and 2 Money in the Bank this week to kind of see what a staged, taped pay-per-view or a non-fan interaction pay-per-view can be like. And I have a feeling, regardless of if it's taped or live, they'll use the talent that may not be on the card in the way that they're doing on the Dynamite. And I feel like it gives it somewhat of a real aspect, a reality aspect of, hey, at least there's somebody in the crowd making noise. So I think AEW does the best weekly show without a crowd. So I don't think they'll have an issue with this pay-per-view. But this show in particular, 2 things I noticed on Twitter. Somebody said, how come every episode of AEW Dynamite's always the best episode of AEW Dynamite? I think the last couple of weeks weren't really their best show. And then this week, really, they stepped it up a notch and they showed what they could really do. And the second thing I saw was somebody commented and said, this is my first time watching Dynamite. I'll be watching next week, which is just a great thing to say. If you actually put on some good shit, people will come back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As we kind of wind down here, do what we kind of did last week. We'll try to keep that as a weekly thing. Thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. What do you give Dynamite? Got to give the old thumbs up for myself. What about you?
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, and then I'm gonna give it 1 full thumbs up and 1 Orange Cassidy thumbs up.
That's a new thing now. 2 thumbs up, 1 thumbs up. What are we doing? I'll go 2 thumbs up.
No, it was a really good show. So, as always, you expect them to build upon the success of this week, and I'm not a ratings guy. I don't really give a shit about that much about the ratings. But I do take a look at them, and I think you'll see the ratings jump for AEW this week.
Yeah, I could see NXT jumping just with the 2 title matches they had, but just from a live aspect, I don't know if NXT was live tonight, but I don't want to say it was, but I don't want to say it wasn't. I don't know, but I know AEW was, and I feel like people were drawn into it. I think maybe it got more viewers as the show went on, and I think next week they should have a good showing as well, based upon this week how good it was too. Threw up on the old Twitter machine another poll. What did you guys think of AEW Dynamite this week? I put the four choices as enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it, didn't watch Dynamite, or they watched NXT. And 78% of you enjoyed Dynamite, 11% of you didn't watch it, and 11% of you watched NXT. So, give the question again. Why did you guys enjoy it? What did you like, not like about it? Why did or didn't you watch it? And what drew you to NXT? Will you watch AEW this week's show afterwards? Anyways, so give the follow on Twitter, follow the page. I want to thank the surge of followers we've had over the past couple of weeks, up to 432 followers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Hope you guys also are following the other pages of the Outlaw Wrestling Network. We're under the same banner between the Unhinged Wrestling Podcast, yours truly over there with Tank of the Bump, as well as myself at Beyond the Curtain. So us three are definitely collaborating into one big wrestling organization podcast thing, if you want to call that. So appreciate you guys, showing the love. Keep spreading, keep showing it, do all that good stuff, retweet, like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Speaking of that, kind of dive on into the social medias, why don't we?
Why not? Let's go. I'll start it off here. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheBPod. Let's just try that again.
Redo that.
We got to edit that out. But at @TheB Podcast, you can find me on Facebook. Either do facebook.com/TheB Podcast or just look up Taking the Bump Podcast on Facebook. And then go ahead and like both pages. I know I have a lot more followers on the Twitter page than on Facebook, by a very wide margin. But as well, if you're interested in getting this sexy ass t-shirt,
hey, we follow protocol. We represented both shows this week. It'll be a weekly thing.
ProWrestlingTees.com/TheB Podcast. And then I am getting ready in the coming weeks with the whole move situation and everything. Both of us are going to endeavor on my YouTube page I'm creating. If y'all paid attention 2 weeks ago, we started a series with the other member of Unhinged Wrestling Podcast, that he, for whatever reason, cannot finish. So we're taking over. We're going to continue and do the Vince Russo era of WCW, Nitro, Thunder, pay-per-views. That'll be coming shortly. We're going to get settled in through this move. And then as soon as we can start it up again, I'll let you know. And it'll be on my Taking the Bump Podcast YouTube page. Coming soon. Don't have a set firm date yet. That's why it's important for y'all to follow both Facebook and Twitter pages. That way you can get that info.
Absolutely. Of course, you guys can follow our podcast at BTC Pod 18. Facebook Beyond the Curtain Podcast. I definitely have a lot more Twitter followers than Facebook followers, so we need to get the Facebook page jumping on up if you guys use that, so please do that. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, share the content, retweet it, heart it, love it, whatever you want to do. Also got the YouTube channel where you guys have been watching and listening to these podcasts for the past few weeks with the Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast channel on the YouTube. So, you want to follow and subscribe to this channel, you need to press the notification bell so you know every time we upload. You never know what kind of goodies may be coming around too. So, you got to be in the loop. Also being in the loop is going to ProWrestlingTees.com/Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, where you can get this lovely t-shirt. And there's also another design on there as well, the Yeah Buddy shirt. A little more expensive, but it's made at a great quality. So there's you go. 20% of any one of your purchases go to a charity of your choosing. I know we're in some desirable or non-desirable, desperate times. So, hey, I could donate to a hospital. I could donate to any charities that are helping out with COVID-19 or whatever the case may be. You guys make the choice. I don't. So If you guys would be ever so kind to follow us on our social medias, including the YouTube channel, buy one of our merchandise at one of our Pro Wrestling Tee stores. 20% goes to your charity of your choosing. Let me know in the DMs, Facebook, Twitter, or even the comments into YouTube. We'll make sure to get over there. For the James Beatley, this is myself, Cody. Next week, we will be in a much different setting with a much different outlook of the show. So bear with us as we kind of make that transition, kind of, work things out and see how we do there. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a great transition for us all. Moving in with the man over there, my fiance or 4-year-old. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, but it's going to be a challenge as well to kind of see how we don't kill each other every day, but that's going to be fun. Maybe podcasting will take a little bit of load off our shoulders. So we will see you guys next. We record it on Wednesdays, but next Thursday is when you guys see this. So next Thursday, we will see you 1 p.m. here on the YouTube channel. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, practice that social distancing. We're getting around that curve. We're reopening things. However you feel about that, just be safe, be careful, take care of yourselves. And we will see you guys beyond the curtain next week.